Hello everyone, my name is Abby and I am the Young Adult Assistant at the Twin Lakes Library System and I use she, her pronouns. So for today, for my Must Read Monday video, I wanted to talk to you about a couple books that are written by Black authors that I really love, sort of in celebration of Black History Month. A lot of my other Must Read Mondays, feature a lot of Black authors and books that I love, and since I've already talked about them, I don't want to talk about them again, but you can go through. And I think Dabney also has a lot of videos that feature Black authors and books featuring Black main characters. So basically just go through our entire sort of video feed and you'll be able to find a lot of recommendations. The books that I'm talking about today, I'm pretty sure I haven't talked about them before, so I wanted to go ahead and do them as well. Both of these books are available in our physical collection as well as available on ebook and audiobook format on Libby. I'm pretty sure they're all available on Libby except for, all versions are available on Libby except for one. I have to double check, but I'm pretty sure. So I'm going to go ahead and get into it. So the first book that I'm going to be talking about today is The Sun is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. Let me show you what that looks like. Okay. Well, they have it as like the movie cover, but that'll be what you can find on Libby. And this book follows two main characters. There's alternating points of views. Our first main character is Natasha, and she is very scientific and factual. She likes the facts. She only wants the facts. She's not sort of dreamy. She's very realistic. She's very cut and dry in terms of what she feels like needs to be done. And we meet her in the process of her trying to prevent her family from being deported back to Jamaica. Her parents came to the country, I believe, illegally, and they were found out because of something that happens that's explained in the book, and she's trying to stop the deportation from happening on the day it's supposed to happen. So we're following her on her journey of trying to deal with that. And then the other main character is Daniel, and Daniel is on his way to a college interview. I believe it's for Yale. I can't remember exactly. It's been a little bit since I've read this book. But his parents really want him to go to an Ivy League. They want him to be really successful. I believe they want him to be a doctor. They want him to do all these things, and Daniel doesn't want to do any of that. Daniel isn't even really sure he wants to go to college. He likes poetry and wants to be a poet and a writer. That's what really intrigues him. And he's just sort of dreamy and doesn't really want to be like bogged down by anything. And these two characters meet on this one day, and they sort of have this long journey together and trying to kind of cope with what is happening to them respectively, and then they sort of start to develop a connection and maybe a romantic interest. So that's what happens, or that's the little summary for the book. Reasons why I really love this book. So I'm not a big romance, YA romance reader. I'll read books that have romances in them, but they're typically listed as fantasy or mystery or historical fiction, and the romance is kind of secondary. I think the romance is a lot more, kind of a main plot point in this book. And it also only takes place in the span of a day. So I'm sure you, like me, when I originally heard that, was like, there's no way that they can develop a relationship in a day. That's ridiculous, because I don't like insta-love in books at all. But this book somehow manages to do it really well, and it doesn't come across as cheesy or cringy. Like, it's really well done. And I don't even know if I would say it's love. I think that word gets thrown a lot, or out a lot in this book, but I don't know if I would say it's love. I think it's just very, like, they develop a really strong connection that I really appreciated seeing on the page. And then I also think that Natasha and Daniel are very compelling main characters because they are both on such opposite ends of the spectrums in terms of what they personality like. but they mesh so well in their interactions, and it's really nice. I think, Nicola, you did a really great job writing the two of them and their dynamic. I think that you follow them in such interesting points in their life, and, you know, I'm sure everybody else like me, when I first heard the concept of this book, was like, this can't get solved in a day. Like, I don't know how you can follow them only in a day and get enough, but you get enough. You get a lot. I think this is the perfect standalone book. I think it's the right length. It's, I think, 384 pages, and it doesn't suffer from its length at all. I think that's the perfect length that this book needed to be. I think that it does a really good job of explaining things. You feel invested in the characters, but you're not like overwhelmed. Like, there's not stuff that you feel like wasn't tied up. It's all very, excuse me. It's all very, like, everything kind of wraps itself up very well, which I really appreciated in this book. And I think it is still able to deal with important topics like, you know, what you're going to do for the rest of your life, deportation, immigration, parental expectations, in a really well done way, while also sort of keeping the romance, which is what I think this book is supposed to be. It is a more romantic book, without, like, one doesn't take away from the other. I don't think you lack anything from the romance, but I don't think that she kind of undermines the importance of the other topics that she has in here. She has another book that she wrote called Everything, Everything, which got really popular. I read it. It wasn't my favorite book, but I think that this is her second book. I think this one, or maybe this is her first book. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure The Sun is also a Star. It's her second book, but I could be wrong. I think that it's the perfect, like, intro into YA contemporary and romance books. I think it does a really good job at being a really good introductory novel, and I think that a lot of people who don't typically reach for the genre, like myself, would really enjoy this book. So yeah, so that's the first book, and then the second book is Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds, and this book is told in verse, and it follows our main character Will in 60 seconds. So this book is 306 pages. You're probably asking yourself, how does this book follow someone for only 60 seconds? I will tell you. So Will's brother has just been murdered in a case of gun violence, and Will is looking for retribution. So Will believes that he is going to go and kill the person who's killed his brother. So he gets on an elevator, and he's ready to go get his revenge, avenge his brother. He's ready to do all of these things. And then as he's on the elevator, it stops on each floor. So he's on the 7th floor. So he has to get down 7 floors to get to the bottom floor. But he's on the 7th floor, it stops, and someone enters the elevator. It's someone Will knew. It's someone who died a long time ago. So basically the premise is every elevator stop, it's someone that Will knows who has died. And I believe they all died through acts of gun violence. And they're sort of trying to talk to him and, you know, figure out what exactly is the right method. Like, what should he actually be doing? And is he doing the right thing? Is what he's thinking about doing worth it? And things like that. So, why I loved this book. As you all know, I talked about Elizabeth Acevedo. Oh, I'm sorry, I meant to show you what this looks like. I'll pull that up really fast. But as you all know, I'm a big Elizabeth Acevedo fan, and she writes all of her books except for, I say all, she has 3 books. 2 of them are written in verse, and 1 is written in the traditional prose format. And I, because of her, have discovered a love of books written in verse. This is what it looks like. There you go. And so the first book I read by her was The Poet X, and I was, like, so invested in that. I loved the format, and I was trying to find other books that were similar in format, and that's how I found Long Way Down. And it just works really well with the way that this story is told. I listened to this book on audio, and I really highly recommend the audiobook. I think it's amazing. And it's really fast to get through, too. But I think that the way that the verse is written is really strong and it works really well. Goodreads says in its little summary of the book, told in short, fierce, staccato narrative verse. I think that perfectly encapsulates the storytelling method for this, and it works so well, especially when you consider the pace of this book. Like I said, it's 60 seconds. So I think that shorter verse works in terms of how the narrative is told. So that's one thing I really liked. And then if you don't know anything about Jason Reynolds, who is the author of this book, he's a very prolific YA author. He typically writes books commenting on racial injustices and racism in America. He wrote the teen guide to Ibram X. Kendi's Stamped book, which is a really popular anti-racism book. And there's the adult format, but he wrote the teen guide. And I've only read a couple books or like literary pieces by Jason Reynolds, but I think he's a great intro author for anti-racism texts and fiction for teen readers especially. I think that he addresses a lot of topics in a really good narrative format. He's a really strong writer. I don't know how many books he's done in verse. I know he has more like typical prose novels as well. I think All American Boys is one that he's written that I really want to read that is in the typical narrative of a prose book. But he does a great job. I think that this book is really well paced. It doesn't feel really long. It feels like 60 seconds when you're reading. I think I read this in maybe 2 hours when I was listening to it on audio. It was super fast, and I loved every second of it. I think the ending works really well with the text. I think that it's sort of ambiguous and sort of fits the whole theme. I think the book talks about really important things like gun violence, like racial injustice, and it's addressed in a way that is very not digestible, that's probably not the right word, but it's not confusing for the reader, I don't think. So I appreciated seeing that in the books. So those are two of my favorite books written by Black authors. I really highly recommend both of them. And then again, I also recommend you going through our other videos because there are a lot. I talk about Elizabeth Acevedo and Angie Thomas and just a lot of people. And I really highly, highly recommend you going through. And I will be in my Slice of Life video for this week talking about some other books written by Black authors. But that's more going to be in a vlog style, which you'll see when it's posted. But yeah, I'm really excited. So I hope you are interested in picking these up and you have a great day. Bye-bye.